Before we get into this, let's just make sure we're clear on one thing, and that is Serum is an excellent synth. It's one of the very best synths out there, and there's a reason why it's one of the biggest synths on the planet. But it does have its limitations, even with the recent V2 upgrade. In this video, we're going to take a look at a synth that can do 3 things that Serum can't. Let's get straight into it. So, what is this magical synth that can do things that Serum can't? Hands up if you think it's either pigments or phase plant. Well, actually, it's neither. Today, we're going to be taking a look at one of Native Instruments' finest ever creations, Reaktor. More specifically, we're going to take a look at this, and this. Let's go. Yes, Serum is great at making gorgeous pads, that is no secret. But the first synth in our trio of Reaktor gems takes pads and ambience to a totally higher level. Space Modulator is basically sonic bliss in a box. Where it's different from Serum and pretty much all other synths that I know of is that it is generative. You set it going and it produces endlessly evolving, swirling, ethereal pads, beautifully randomized by the internal modulation and the LFO settings that you can delve into to adjust the synth's output to your taste, and it sounds stunning. In this video, I am not going to do a deep dive into all of the controls. There's quite a few there, as you can see. We'll save that for another video. So let's have a listen to Space Modulator so you can get a good idea for yourself how absolutely gorgeous it is. And before we do that, just got to say I absolutely love this GUI. It is so unique. Let's go. So let's pick the pace up again, shall we? It's well known that Serum is also good at doing percussive hits, things like kicks, snares and hi-hats, but it can only do one at a time. It can't sequence them, it can't do all kinds of other things. It's quite limited in that way. So what I want to do is introduce you to the next Reaktor gem, Aerobic. And Aerobic is a really great drum synth. It doesn't use any samples at all. Everything is generated internally within the synth. And as you can see here, it's actually got 6 different voices and a tab for each voice. And each voice is composed of a mix of the oscillator and the noise generator here. and you've got a mixer here to mix between the two. And there's all kinds of controls here, so it does give you a very great level of control, precise way of generating the sounds that you want to hear. And you also have a nice EQ there that you can use to sculpt the sound in a mix. So that's how each voice works. We also have a modulation section here. We'll get to that in just a moment. Moving down here to the sequencer, it's actually dual function. As you see it at the moment, this is the velocity mode, and that is showing exactly when each step is going to trigger the sound that you've generated per voice. So that's pretty self-explanatory. The higher, the louder it's going to be for that step that you're triggering. When you click here, it will show you the modulation. Let's pick a voice that actually has some modulation. There we can see that. And what you're seeing here is the level of modulation per step on that given voice. And the actual modulation that is taking place is defined here. Simply switch it on and off. And you get to select, just scroll through the list here of exactly what is being modulated. So you've got the noise decay, noise frequency, EQ boost. There's all kinds of things that you can modulate, and this is exactly how it's done. Switch back to the velocity mode and back to the kick, because that's nice and simple. Across the top here you have the loop length, so you can make that really short or the full 16 steps, and that is again on a per voice basis. So let's say you want only 13 steps on your kick sequencer, and on this sequencer you want to go crazy short, just 3. You can do exactly that. And moving down to the color-coded section here, this is actually the re-trigger functionality. When you have a step set up to trigger, if you use the color code beneath it, that is now going to trigger twice instead of just once. Let's put the orange one here. That is going to trigger 3 times. And you can actually define yourself exactly how many times the re-trigger works. Let's put that to 5. So let's see how that sounds. And what I'm going to do on the mixer, which we will get to in a minute, is just click the solo for the kick drum. And you should hear this go twice, 3 times, 5 times, and then this will just be a single hit. So that is pretty self-explanatory there, and it brings us quite nicely to the mixer. And as you would expect, you've got the level per voice, your solo, mute and pan, and you've got a width functionality here, and you can define which note is being used in your DAW to trigger each voice when you select the external mode here. So basically you can use the sequencer to trigger Aerobic, or you can use your DAW just by clicking here, and we've got multiple outs as well here. And this section is just a quick and easy way of managing the snapshot, which is Reaktor's way of saying the presets. So as you can see here, you can just flick through them, go up and down there, just like that. Really quite simple. So in a nutshell, without going too much into depth, that is Aerobic. And all that remains now is to have a quick showcase of the presets. So this is what it sounds like. Now, version 2 of Serum introduced granular synthesis, and very good it sounds too. So for the final synth in today's video, I thought we'd go granular Reaktor style. Say hello to Travalizer, and this is one of Reaktor's finest granular synths, and it's got a really cool secret weapon up its sleeve that you're just going to love. We'll get into that shortly. Basically, Travalizer takes very basic sounds like this and turns them into this. Let's take a look at what's going on here with the GUI and how Travalizer works. Across the top, we've got the waveform displayed horizontally. And if I press my key on my keyboard, you will see the oscilloscope spring into action, showing the output. So, how does this thing work? Well, it's a granular synth, as you should already know. And looking at the big XY pad here, this is where you get to define the size of the grains and the position. So if we move the crosshair horizontally, that changes the position of the granular playhead, and if we move it up and down, that changes the size. So that's gone really massive there. Let's just stay with some small grains and move it there like that. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And a synth wouldn't be a synth without having any kind of modulation options. So we can modulate the position of the playhead here. We can actually modulate the speed with which it moves with the inertia here. So if we bring it all the way across here, it will move very slowly, all the way down there very quickly. So let's just leave it where it is. And we switch the modulation on here, so you can immediately see the change going on there. And with the XY pad here, you define the speed vertically, so that's moving real quick, and the amount of modulation is defined with the horizontal axis. So that's a really cool way of just modulating the position of the playhead. You can play with the pitch, and again that can be modulated similarly. And we've got a filter and a delay here, so we change the cutoff here and the feedback is here. With the sample and the volume, that is the speed with which the head moves through the sample. So I'll show you quickly how that works. So let's turn up the release and really make the attack very slow, so you should see the changes with how the head moves through the sample here. So I've let go and it continues to move. And that's why it's called Travalizer, basically because the playhead travels through the waveform. Here we get to define the sample, simply click and drag, and as with all Reaktor instruments, you can have up to 127 samples loaded. I think in this one we've got 6 or 7, and there they are. And here we define the level. So it's all very simple, and the secret weapon, I've saved the best to last. You probably guessed by the sound of the instrument. It's this fantastic resonator chamber here, and you have 3 different resonators, and you can play them off against each other in terms of the pitch and detuning, and you've got the dampness and decay on this XY pad. And that's it basically. It's quite a simple synth, but just to demonstrate how transformative it is. So we're using sample 0, and this is what sample 0 sounds like before it goes through the synth.
Travalizer.
Very basic, very simple, sounds like a speak and spell of the word Travalizer. And once it's been put through its paces through Travalizer, this is what it ends up sounding like. And in a nutshell, that is Travalizer. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you like what you saw, be sure to drop a like and leave a comment. Make sure to subscribe because we've got all kinds of great content in the pipeline for you. And check out the channel. It's absolutely packed with videos that you are going to love. Here's a couple of videos that YouTube is very kindly recommending for you. Why not watch one of them? And I'll see you in the next one.